We're back to celebrating Batman Beyond's 25th anniversary again this month, and today we're spotlighting Shriek. I had mentioned we'd be looking at Spellbinder as his pairing, but it made more sense given the plot of his debut episode to look at a Bruce Wayne instead. Which Bruce, you ask? Only the best, sleekest looking one. It's Bruce wearing the Beyond suit himself. So order a pizza, have a seat, and let's break down how I made Walter Shreve's suit. Shriek is another of my recipes that uses the now classic Gods and Monsters Batman base body. I should really do a short or something on the many different uses I've found for both the body and the two heads. Anyway, for his head I went with something that already had the basic round shape, and all I would have to do is cut the helmet's angled lower half out of it. I've made a couple casts of the McFarlane Green Lantern head in the last few years, and the oversized nature from the 7-inch scale will work perfectly for a helmet. I'm also making an unmasked Walter Shreve head, and will use the Kirk Langstrom head as a base, but we'll tuck it away for later. For his arms, you'll notice that I've swapped them out for TNBA Joker, but that was only because I had an extra set and wanted to trade the Batman forearms for use elsewhere. Since we'll be sculpting his giant paws over the top, any forearms will work. Speaking of beginning modifications on him, let's crank up the Dremel. First, I went right to cutting down the hair off of the Kirk head for the unmasked portrait, and then taking the extra molding off the top of John Stewart's head for the helmet. Next, you just blast the whole lantern face away and then cut in the angles of the helmet. I actually ended up revising these and trimming them down more later, but this is how I started out. The other couple of spots you want to remove are his collar area and white rectangular shapes on his thighs. After dremeling, sand things down smooth and you'll be ready to begin sculpting. It's always best to sculpt in layers and build things up as you go. With that in mind, you need to think about what parts go first and how it will all work together. Shriek doesn't have the grooves running down his chest that Batman has, so we'll want to erase those first. You can do that with either epoxy or this contour putty. Watch out with the putty because mine has since cracked a hole and dried up inside. I guess you just can't squeeze too hard since the tube will crease and puncture easily. Now we can start forming his helmet while the chest dries. The first layer is the base, and then we'll start sculpting the visor in after. Back to the torso. I added a simple shape to allow the room for his arm to move, and the rest of the shoulder frame will go on top of it. For the chest, make the rough shape in your hand and then press it on and modify it to fit. Cut out the hole where his control light is and let it dry. Back over to his arm, we can add the bicep armor piece and cut in the lines where he has the black striping. Returning to his helmet, we keep the visor shape going, and it's really starting to look like him now. However, it's here where I noticed that the angles needed to come in much sharper, so I took a knife to the plastic there and fixed those shapes. Up to this point, I had kind of been losing sleep over how to make his giant paws look right. But I needed to just rip the band-aid off and do it. I took a big chunk of epoxy and formed it around the arm, and then used a nearby circle shape to press in the blue light shapes on the back of his hands. I was going to do the same for the circles on his palms, but opted to just draw in and paint those instead. One of the reasons the paws were so daunting was how I was going to do the claws. I kinda overthought it and tried cutting them out of thin figure bubble plastic and tried inserting them into the epoxy first. That wasn't going to work too well because they were almost too thin, so I had the alternate idea of just sculpting them on with epoxy instead. That'll do! With all modifications done, it's time to pop open some paint. Shriek has a very simple monochromatic color scheme with only the additions of blue lights on his helmet, chest, and giant paws. Combined with the lack of a face, this means he'll be done with painting much quicker than most. He has 4 colors and a very stormtrooper-like arrangement. The black bodysuit with white armor using these 2 standard black and white paints. Then slight accents of this gray and this light blue. Easier said than done for keeping everything straight and clean, but you'll get there eventually. Now he just needs some blast effects. If you've seen my Batman Beyond Freeze Meltdown video, linked above, you might remember me mentioning that I used some G.I. Joe blast accessories for him and the rest went to Shriek. Here we are. I saw these neat windswept blasts and smoke effects and immediately thought of Shriek's sound blasts. You don't actually see any sound waves come out of his weapons on the show, but rather the effects of them, usually represented by some kind of smoke. Unlike Freeze, the only modification needed for these is to paint them. I used these 2 off-white and tan paints and voila! Instant Shriek blasts. I did go ahead and sculpt up some sound waves for added visual effect using unpainted epoxy too. Just roll them up, bend them in concentric curves, let them cure, and place them on the ground for your shoot, like so. Pretty sweet. That covers Shriek, but as I mentioned at the beginning, he really got into Bruce's head in this episode. With this year being the big 25th anniversary of the start of the show, it's only fitting that I include the Batsuit from the first scene of the pilot. As much as I love the design of the Beyond suit, there's something extra special about seeing Bruce Wayne in it. I don't know if it's because that's how we were first introduced to it, but I think it looks even better on Bruce than it does on Terry. He's a real knockout. I love it so much that I picked up this awesome cell this year of him from the esteemed Heroic Fine Arts booth at a local convention. The company is run by a really nice guy with an incredible photographic memory and a huge passion for animation. Check them out. Anyway, with all that said, Bruce in the Beyond suit was my first finished DCAU custom and the one that launched my Instagram page. His recipe is fairly straightforward and there aren't any surprise pieces involved. The only thing you'll need to swap out is his belt. Luckily, the anti-fire suit Batman design basically shares belts with the Beyond suit, so that's an easy switch with the TNBA Batman figure. Dremel off and sculpt a new symbol, cut out one of the gauntlet spikes on either side, Dremel and fill the boot tops, smooth away the ring at his neck, then all that's left before painting is the head. I used green stuff to maintain flexibility on his extended ears and then gave him grimacing teeth because he looks so much cooler like that. Dremel the lip down, smooth out and blend some epoxy around his mouth, and then paint the teeth, followed by his chin. Paint him all black with the red and gray belt and red chest emblem, and look at that! So cool to see this guy realized in 3D form after wanting him for 25 years. As a little bonus, I made his unmasked portrait for when he quits at the end of the scene. I took another of my scaled up Kenner TNBA Bruce heads, did a little repainting, and you get an instant older Bruce head for this suit. I'm also able to use it on a TNBA turtleneck Bruce, but I'll save that base figure for another time. Thanks for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more monthly content like this and occasional shorts featuring tips or additional customs. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see more customs like these and all of my latest work. Join me next time for a spooky take on the future Dark Knight's rogues, Curare and that previously promised brief look at Spellbinder. I'm pumping these Beyond villains out like an assembly line now. Check out the rest of my catalog of videos while you wait for that next one. I'm planning my next 2 videos and I'm curious what you guys want to see next. Watch for a poll in the next few days, both here on the community page and another on my Instagram stories, to vote for who you'd want to see for December's video. Thanks for a year of support on here and for going with me on this ride to build out the DCAU one figure at a time. Have a good one, and happy customizing.